Okay, cool. What are we talking about? You had some ideas.
Yeah, this time is the second session,
Yes.
and that we're gonna introduce you how we have a deep conversation about a topic between you and I into deep tech. We have a very, what do you call it? To give you a background, I'm a proud new European citizen, but I'm very deeply worried about Europe, especially in the technology scene. And Yon is always the other way, and he says now Europe is good, and we're gonna be fine.
To be fair, I kind of agree. I always like to play the devil's advocate,
Yeah.
but yes, I do. I do not see it as black and white. So
Yeah.
should be an interesting conversation. Let's see. We are also tired. It's Friday,
Yeah.
so
But
we can let loose.
we decided to actually be keep going with it
Mhm,
and going and doing this work
mhm,
and doing this research. So my argument is that in Europe, we are benefiting from the generations and generation of hard work that we have put on
mhm,
in technology, in society, where we are. And now we are lifting or living on our previous generation, like very rich kids,
mhm,
inherited a lot of stuff, and we are enjoying it. And it's
mhm,
gonna end soon and end bad.
mhm, mhm.
I'm not saying that it will end bad, but I hope that we will do something about it. And I have some arguments for it, specifically in deep tech, technology, how we are acting compared to the rest of the world.
Mhm.
I have some tools at hand to actually do this work, but tell me why you think that Europe is good.
Why do I think Europe is good? I mean,
You're already lost.
maybe I can answer with a question. Uh, maybe I can answer with a question because I agree what you said about the generation wealth, but I don't see as clearly how the generational wealth is affecting our current world. How do you think it's affecting it? Because what I see is that yes, there's a big advantage from the past, uh, but the current businesses are working. The current wealth is created by current businesses in the current economic situation, by current people that have studied in the last generation. uh, it's not like we all inherited a big fortune of money. It's not like there's a bunch of rich people hiding around investing in stuff. Actually, there's more of that in the US. So how do you think this is impacting
The
the
thing is that,
situation?
like, what I'm seeing at, like, for example, when in Europe, we don't have any technological unicorn,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
new ones.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Like all the ones fast, like big technology companies, either they are the shadow of their previous self,
yeah,
like for example Siemens,
yeah,
Philips, like ASML is from that, NXP is from that, and all of this.
yeah, yeah.
But Philips now is essentially rebranding Chinese appliances, appliances,
Mm-hmm,
and there
mm-hmm,
is Philips Medical.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Philips Lighting is divested,
mm-hmm,
and Philips used to be a whole city around Philips, Eindhoven, Brainport, what they call it.
yeah.
But it doesn't exist now anymore. And we are not investing to create those anymore.
Mm-hmm,
Those, like Philips was like 120 years old,
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm,
like all the car manufacturing industry in Germany.
mm-hmm,
Um, at the turn of the previous century,
mm-hmm,
1900,
mm-hmm,
we had this innovation or like such, and the drive for doing new things
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
trying new things. How many new car companies come out of Europe,
mm-hmm,
right? All of them, they're just like, for example, now when you look at it, like in the electric car, there is a debate if electric car is going to be the future or not. But
mm-hmm.
still, how many other ways are we really doing? Like, we are just uh, doing the old same and expecting drastic growth.
It's true to some extent. Uh, it kind of also goes against your argument, though. Like the reason why there's such few new companies and such few tech companies in Europe is mainly because of lack of capital. Because we have the people, we have the education, we kind of have the ecosystem. We are just lacking capital. Any company that really wants to grow needs to go to the US for money. So we didn't really inherit this capital that we can use to make this happen.
We inherited the capital that we have a good quality of life and we are optimizing for comfort rather than progress. And this means that we are optimizing for short-term comfort, which progress means a long-term prosperity that we are not optimizing for. As a European countries, we have this comfort because previous generation did those hard work, right? They stayed overnight in the labs, took those risks.
I do agree. Like a lot of I mean, Europe is still strong in, advanced industries like chemical industries, machines that are used in
But they are
factories.
legacy.
Yes, this is what my argument was. Like these are all like 60, 70, 80-year-old companies that were created mostly yeah, after World War II, during this reconstruction, which always helps any country, this new energy. Like it helped Japan, it helped Germany. But yeah, that kind of energy, yeah, like stabilized, and we are mostly living off of that.
Let me give you a practical thing. For example, I'm looking at the number of patents in battery.
Mm-hmm,
In Europe, we are very strong in putting legislation. We need to become net neutral battery, like what we call CO2, net neutral, independent of, I don't know, like oil and all of that.
Yeah.
We put legislation on it.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? Either we need to import that technology, or so either we import the batteries or like the renewable energies and all of that. Either we import and license the technology and build the manufacturing, which we are not because those create a lot of pollutions, or we create the technology in house and we license it somewhere else and import the batteries, right?
Yeah.
So it should show in actually how much patented chemistry and technologies in battery should be, right? If I look at it like that, half of it is US out of patents last 5-6 years in innovative technologies. What do you call it? So what do you call it? 2/6, which is essentially 1/3, is East Asia, Korea, and South Korea, and China, and such, and Japan, and 1/6 is Europe.
Yeah.
Right? How can we not be effed?
I don't know. What would you think is your solution? Because what is Europe doing wrong right now? How could this be fixed? Because again, we don't have the capital. US has the capital for historical reasons, and China has the capital mostly because US moved their whole industry there.
Definitely, we have the capital to make nice cities and nice quality of life, and have good pension, good healthcare, and all of that. Compared to other countries, we have a good quality of life. So there is the capital, and also we have around 400 million people, or I don't know, like is it Europe 400 million people?
Something like that, 300, 400. Yeah, I would say so.
So 746 million.
Really? Depends what you count as Europe. Huh?
Yes, EU. But I think EU is, so I think Russia is included, which should, like a great part of Russia is part of Europe.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but we have the scale. We are per capita much richer than China, right? at least in West Europe.
Mhm.
And still, I think it's just we are like we are valuing comfort for today, which means that if you need to be comfort for today, you need to, as a new engineer, go and work for like a very advanced, work for a big company
Mhm.
that gives you a good quality of life and all of those things,
Mhm.
no risk
Mhm.
on developing new things. So, and then there you don't make new big splash of technology or something that you make an exit.
Mhm.
So you don't have money to invest in the next generation of things. And like it's just what do you call it? It's frowned upon to work hard for progress slash money, right? Because essentially capital and such comes. We need capital, we need money
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
have progress,
Yeah.
but it's frowned upon. And like, so look at, I can give you another example, like for example, semiconductor. Let me just do in uh, semiconductor patents. Why do you think that we are not?
Yeah, semiconductor especially because yeah, it never really got established in Europe. It was born in the US, it was outsourced to Asia. I mean, there was some R&D in Europe, I guess. ASML is in Europe, but they also ASML also doesn't. You know, their achievement is in supply chain management. You know, they buy all their technology for all these different places. Uh, a lot of them in Europe, but still, all of these are old companies, and I do agree to a certain extent. You know, I come from Spain, and I feel like it's especially prevalent there, where sure, the economy is strong, relatively strong, but it's all centralized in these big old companies. And there's this culture of, you know, everyone works for big companies. There's this culture of being an employee. Uh, and it's hard to get out of that. And it's very hard to, you know, risk things and do your own thing.
Let me tell you, for example, in the last since 2018 in semiconductor industries, right?
Mm-hmm,
There are since 2018 semiconductor R&D, 3,000 companies in East Asia patented something,
mm-hmm,
and 565 companies in Europe
mm-hmm.
patented some related technology to semiconductor industry,
Well, that's not bad.
and 2,000 companies in US.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like yeah, China, Japan, Korea, they've really done an impressive job, you know, transitioning from low skilled cheap labor and industry from for like to high tech and actual R&D. They really reinvested the money they earned from yeah industry into making their own technologies and making their own companies. uh, I don't know how that can be replicated here. You know, to some extent, things are too nice here. The reason why China got all this money is because they had, you know, millions of people willing to work for really cheap because they were poor and they were living in bad conditions and they still are.
So you're saying that
There's
this is a
no,
cycle of life that we need to accept it because we were having a good life. So why
I
should we
don't know, but
work?
like so many things, an impressive, like, you know, the impact of inequality, you know, how many things move around the world just because in another country people are willing to be paid less because you know the standard of living is lower. So much moves around that, you know, and the whole reason why East Asia is so successful right now is because of that.
So I'm looking at the top 10 companies:
Mm-hmm,
TSMC,
mm-hmm,
IBM, Fuji Electronic, Micron, Samsung, Intel, Applied Materials, Kabushi, Kaisha, Global Foundries, and Semiconductor Energy Laboratories.
the thing
Do,
is
do
all
you
of
hear any
these
European?
are American though.
No, they
I
are.
know, I know, but TSMC, was created by Texas Instruments. Like they said, the founder of TSMC, he spent most of his life in the U.S. He studied in MIT. He worked at Texas Instruments. He went back then like to Taiwan, but it was a foreign place for him. You know, Samsung, yes, it's Korean, but again, a similar situation. Of course, Intel is American. Micron is American. Like yeah.
I will show you something else. Let me just essentially um look at not like researchers, right? In
Mhm,
battery.
mhm,
Let's
mhm.
say we need a lot of researchers to do uh,
That is important because Europe, at least until recently, it was at least considered to have an advantage in science.
yes.
More and more, you have thousands and thousands of publications from China, and of course, the US has always been strong. But yeah, this matters. Like, what are the numbers on
Let me
science?
see. I'm looking for it. Um, I'm creating a segment on it.
I remember when we were in
Re-
Silicon Valley a few months ago. I was listening to the head of the European Innovation Commission, and like his starting phrase was, in Europe we are very good at making science out of money, but not so much at making money out of science. But let's see if actually we are good at even making science out of money. Yeah? Are we still the strongest? I'm not sure if we are.
yeah. Let me see. So here, the number is coming. So we have 4,429 institutions
Mm-hmm.
that are working in battery and especially on high density, energy density battery
Mm-hmm.
chemistry and also innovative chemistries.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Actually, I have the charts are loading, like it's doing the aggregations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is so humongous. I was looking at, oh, here. You cannot even fathom
Mm-hmm.
Chinese Academy of Science is equal to the next three, four together.
Really? What, the institution you mean? Or
China
yeah, yeah.
is bigger in it than US, South Korea, Germany, Japan, and India together
Okay.
in innovative battery chemistry.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
why we
they
see
really made publishing papers into an industry as well. But it's true. Like, actually, China right now is one of the strongest in batteries. They're very good in
I'm
solar.
looking at not papers,
Yeah, yeah.
researchers,
Researchers, so people. Yes, yes, I understand.
people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, also that.
but the thing is, that's my problem.
Yeah,
We as European and you are dismissing
yeah, yeah, yeah,
how horrible
yeah.
the situation is. Like,
Yeah.
and we are saying that, oh, we have democracy, we have good life here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we are dismissing actual statistical, uh, factual things
Mm-hmm.
that we invented and put the straw, like the whole publishing and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and we put it there, and it's clear,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see the signs of it, like all the uh, German automakers, they are moving their R&D to Asia and
Mm-hmm.
China specifically,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and buying the stocks of new Chinese companies.
Yeah, yeah.
We are dismissing that we don't have even the talent to make that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. What can we do?
I don't know.
We
I
are
don't know.
kind of stuck in this spiral where things are slightly too good, which doesn't prompt people to take action. And yeah, and there's also no real advantage. We cannot sell cheap labor. We cannot sell, high end science. We cannot. Yeah, I'm not sure. The thing is as well, like, and we always talk about this. Um, Perhaps it's a wrong perspective also to think of countries in the world stage as a battle of GDPs, and think more about the people. Yes, you're right. To an extent, Europe is optimizing for current comfort, and why not? If we can afford it, people's money should be used for people and not just a few rich investors and big companies. You know, they
But
they
is
they
my question is that
because that's it
is
really.
it
Because we are talking about progress, but progress is about increasing the standard of life. Like, do you see the standard of life being higher in the US or in China? I don't think so. Is it because we are borrowing on, past successes? I don't know, perhaps. Or maybe we found a more sustainable model. I don't know. Don't you think that, for example, in China, now that the standard of living is rising and the situation is changing, don't you think that people will start demanding higher salaries,
yeah?
a more comfortable life? Similar thing happened in Japan, it kind of stagnated. Like, it's still to be seen if China will go the path of Japan or not.
But here, this is my challenge with this. We are hoping for, like, I'm for pro progress. I
Yes,
hope China also progresses because it lifts a lot of people out of
it's a
poverty,
good point.
right?
Yes,
And
yes,
keeps going with the same speed.
yes.
And I want us to also go and wake up
Mm-hmm,
before hitting our head against the wall,
mm-hmm,
before our debts, national debts, bought by foreign companies,
mm-hmm.
and then they would
Oh, yeah.
impose.
It's already happened in
No,
many
but what I mean,
cases.
you see from
Yes,
like Spain, right? We had
yes,
like how
yes,
much backlash between, or like what was the Spanish sentiment against
yes, yes.
Germans and like Dutch.
Actually, it's kind of a love-hate relationship because I feel like the Spanish admire the Germans more than anyone else. Then they.
But what I mean is that, like, you see, like, imagine another country from across the sea would impose your public
It literally
spend.
happened like China during the 2008 crisis. One a bit later, 2012, they bought a big part of the Spanish debt, and there were policies specifically for that. A lot of Chinese came into Spain during that time. They opened stores, they got friendly loans. Actually, like this happened, like.
No, what I mean that is, I would like to everyone to progress.
Yeah.
Do you want some
No,
water?
no, I'm good.
Uh, but at the same time, we progress. Like, the thing is that we have. I'm saying that optimizing for current comfort, given that we can afford it,
Mm-hmm.
is the short term metastable state
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that will, if it's something going down,
Yeah.
at some point you feel that it is stable.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we have climate change, means that we need a lot of technological advancement
Yes.
to address those.
Yeah.
Literally, transportation, we are at on top of the highway here. Transportation,
Mm-hmm.
electricity production,
Mm-hmm.
electricity storage,
Mm-hmm.
like EU packaging directive,
Mm-hmm.
like recycling,
Mm-hmm.
plastics.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have?
Actually, it links to what we were talking last time. There's a big push to move semiconductor manufacturing back to the West. How can we achieve this? Because the economics and incentives are not really there. You know, there is a reason to do it, just to have more stability and have the supply chain be a bit more resilient to, yeah, disasters. TSMC is right in a place where there's a lot of earthquakes. There was a big one, I think, a decade ago, and they were offline for like a week, and it affects the whole world. So it's important to diversify, and there's economic reasons to do that. But what other advantages are there from having a fab here in the US? You know.
I'm not saying that we need to have a fab here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that we need to contribute to the technological deep tech growth of the world. Might be that like some people, some places, like they are more suitable, they have more capacity at
Mm-hmm.
doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean that we need to have a net importer of technologies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We can still have, we are, I have a solution here for
Mm-hmm.
it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think that we can do as Europe do. We have the best, I can be a bit controversial here, but the best um, environment to attract the best talent from the world.
It is true. We have you know we have benefited a lot from that ourselves. You know, being here in Amsterdam, yeah, everyone we hired has been from other countries, and it's because the city has attracted all this talent.
Because, you know, if you come here,
Yeah,
not only you can do your best work,
yeah.
imagine if you would be able to have the best companies that are morally driven
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you have a good infrastructure to live in, like a good quality of life,
Mm-hmm.
like you have good food, comfortable housing in a sense, like what they call it, like transport, relatively good public transportation,
Mm-hmm.
um, healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if the best jobs were here. If you would be
What do
like
you call the best jobs? Because I feel
best
like
jobs is that like means it is not only money. Best jobs means that you are moving the needle.
the thing is, like,
You know what I mean?
by
Not
most
an insurance
definitions, the
company.
best jobs are here, you know, with reasonably high salaries, stability, good place to raise a
Best jobs
family,
from
good,
best companies.
yes, like,
Like companies that are really working at scale
mhm,
on a high uh, highly important problems,
mhm,
which is essentially technological issues,
mhm,
healthcare issues,
mhm,
like energy issues that we have.
mhm,
And at the same time, you are going to work next to the best peers, best others,
mhm,
like, you know, work as if you are if you are an impressive or like a person that has high ambition and work ethics and really want to do your best and leave a mark on this world. You want to be somewhere that they let you and
mhm,
support you to do your best job,
mhm,
work.
mhm,
You're surrounded with people that you can exchange ideas
mhm,
and work together.
mhm,
And your rest of the, like, you don't need to think about, like, you know, you don't have really big problems in your personal life
mhm,
in terms of like outside of your like I would not professional life things. You can just dedicate yourself to progress.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
So that is what I mean the best job.
So we have the first ingredient, like the stability, the comfort, the security. How do we get the best companies here? Because to some extent, these fast growing big companies, they either happen because, heavy government subsidies, or they come from inequality. You have very rich investors that decide to focus their capital in a specific venture, and you end up taking advantage of cheap labor, either from the local area or from Asian countries. So how do we get the best companies here without breaking with what we value? Without increasing inequality, uh, without breaking what we have.
You mean that progress will bring inequality by definition?
uh, I don't know if progress will bring inequality. I don't think progress will bring inequality. Progress is always good. It raises the
Or
bar.
hunger for progress?
But you were talking about the best companies, the hottest companies, like biggest growing companies, the ones that have the capital to invest in long term things like progress. Uh, how do we get those? How do they happen here?
Let me show you. I was reading the day before yesterday annual report 2023 annual report of ASML.
Mhm.
A big part of it is about non-financial matrix reports.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That, for example, their supply chain, what they call footprint.
This is
Like,
becoming a huge thing. Like you have investment funds that consider these metrics
imagine if we
explicitly.
at Europe we could lead with that,
Mhm.
right? And make next generation of companies that everyone wants to buy their services, work for them, and invest in them. And you make it open enough to bring the best talent here
Mhm. Mhm.
instead of you know these divisive um, conversations that we are looking for short-term results.
Mhm.
There is not going to be a short-term results. We're going to be like China 50 years to turn this ship around. It's
Mhm.
not going to be tomorrow that we're going to be uh,
It's true.
there.
It's true.
Because
Yes.
I did actually search here. Okay, like what do you asked? Literally, I said how to move manufacturing of high-tech technologies like battery and semiconductor to West again,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Back to the West. And it did read a few articles. Regional factor in enabling manufacturing reshoring,
To b-
making it home or broad, an overview of impact additive manufacturing,
Mhm.
vulnerable links between lithium ion battery supply chain, right? So it said like it here, these four or five articles, it says invest in advanced manufacturing techniques,
Mhm.
right? So like technologies like, for example, industry 4.0, manufacturing 4.0, and all
Yeah,
of the other things.
that is a big deal. Actually, I was, one of during one of these deep dives, I was looking into again semiconductor manufacturing specifically, and I saw that actually no longer like the labor costs are no longer a big factor. Like the main cost is in actually building the fabs and all the instrumentation required. But actually now it's all quite automated, and you don't need
People.
lots of people
Yeah.
with low salaries. You need good engineers to optimize the yields.
And then um it says invest in strengthen local supply chains.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, companies bring and make something if they have a stronger other companies,
Mm-hmm.
actors
So what?
there,
A bit of protectionism is needed. You think?
or not protectionism, but like there is a saying that you build it, they will come,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Is not protectionism, but a positive um, support to create an ecosystem,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I hate this name of ecosystem, but essentially a bit of a saturation, right? You have to have talents that know their like
Mm-hmm.
that area. We have very good universities in Europe.
Yeah.
If we make very good, highly like make companies build what do you call it, business parks
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
around universities and make their R&D centers there.
Yeah.
It keeps building like ecosystem there. Then you make spin-off like factories, or
Mm-hmm.
like what you venture building
Mm-hmm.
next to that, in put investment there.
Yeah.
Then again, it starts kind of making, like, you cannot
It,
build that forest
it
overnight.
is kind of happening slowly, isn't it? We see here. Well, there's a lot
S-
of strong spin-offs here, don't you think?
no, don't let me start with that. I've been into
Well,
that so often. It's it's too little, too late, too slow. I mean, just uh, maybe I like can talk
where
once
is
with.
it better though? Where is it better? because I was at Stanford and Berkeley talking to people like this, trying to make scientific spin-offs. It was not much easier there either, and
But
there was
they
not that much more capital either. Like there was more, but they were still struggling to get a few 100,000 as well. Huh? I don't think it's that much
but it's
worse.
about,
D-
I think there is no easy silver bullet answer to this, but I think if we really make it attractive for companies to build R&D centers next to universities,
mhm, mhm,
right?
mhm,
So studying science, technology, engineering, and medicine becomes again attractive,
mhm, mhm.
right?
Yeah, because it is a bit saturated right now, and people are getting a bit,
Right?
disillusioned with it. Yeah.
And then if that happens,
Mhm.
of course it takes long. And then if you really making investing in high tech technologies and tax in a tax side,
Yeah.
very what do you call it, very lucrative investment,
Yeah.
right? That instead of investing in safe things, investing in highly specialized edge technologies
Yeah.
like deep tech,
Yeah.
like you make give good tax benefits to that. So then again, like all these family offices that we have here, all these like corporations and all of that, they would both morally,
Yeah.
in terms of like having accepted
Yeah.
like image as a PR. Like now we have greenwashing and tech washing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That would maybe improve, and then afterwards, I think then we need to essentially, it will start building itself, right? It becomes a flywheel, but might go wrong as well. So
I do think there's a very important thing in that. Like people always forget because we always think about the US, about especially here in Europe, we always think about America as this kind of money hungry place. But actually, like they are the ones that who did the most R&D, the most long-term stuff, the most science without any short-term revenue potential. This is the culture in Silicon Valley. This is a culture in the US, coming from first big public projects like the space race, defense, but then also a lot of private R&D. And D. And if you hear the founders of Samsung talking, or Huawei, they say they were successful because they got inspired by the US and they decided to invest a lot of in R&D, unlike all the other companies that didn't become as big. So I think that is a key. And we still have perhaps we are not the best anymore, but we still have a very valuable foundation in Europe when it comes to R&D and science that we can build up.
yes, but we need to have, I think, any change in behavior or as a collective,
Hmm.
it starts with admission of the problem.
Yes, yes,
If we admit that we have a chronic disease
yes.
that is leading to us becoming a second class countries in the world in next 100 years, I don't know.
It is happening to a certain extent. You do see it in the mood. Like here in the Netherlands in the last year, the mood has gone south very, very quickly, like impressively quickly. You always think of the Netherlands of this like this progressive and efficient, like prosperous place. But now there are issues with climate change policies. Farmers are against it. There's huge issues with immigration. The economy, they feel like it's stagnating. My father also went to Sweden recently, and he saw that they have the same issue. They don't have the euro. Their currency is down. People are, yeah, feeling the pain, and there's different reactions to it. Certain countries. Uh, yeah, the culture becomes quite negative and people start complaining that they don't have the luxuries they had anymore. Other countries focus and they start just put their head down and get to work. This is what my father was saying in Sweden. He was not thinking about it in a positive way. In his view, people were way too focused on work, on this kind of Lutheran ethic of just you know no family, no friends, just career. But I think it's a healthy reaction to a worsening situation.
But I don't know if it's
Mhm.
what is the price of a bag of potato?
It did increase a lot in the last couple of years. The inflation was real. I mean, a bag of potatoes, what, like less than two
One
euros, I
kilo.
would say.
Let me go to the like Albert Heijn supermarket. I wanna make a point here.
The thing is, I haven't bought groceries in a long time either because I do HelloFresh all the time.
Oh, don't
Oh, I
we are-
shouldn't. I shouldn't.
No.
Other brands are available.
Let's say €2 a kilo,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
right?
Sure. What was your point?
One ASML device is
Mhm.
100 million to 200 million euros.
Sure. Okay.
How many kilos of potatoes do you need to produce to make 100 million or 200 million
Well,
of revenue
the revenue will
for the
be
country
double because it's 2 euros. So 400 million potatoes. The profit actually is much lower, the profit margin, but
of potatoes?
sure. But yeah, what do you mean? What is your point about
What I mean
potatoes?
is that like what we are like the situation is worsening,
Yeah.
but we are taking measures
Hmm.
that it's gonna worsen our situation.
Okay. What are you referring to?
So, for example, let's say we have issues with immigration, or like we have issues in housing
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which they politicians put it on immigration or some of the things.
To be fair, there's issues with housing the whole world. Like it's
Yes,
a mess. Like
China has a lot of new
oh,
housing, empty houses,
it's
empty
terrible.
houses,
Yes, yes. Maybe we should swap places. In the US also, it's very, very bad in
so
certain regions. Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we cannot build houses.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we have regulation.
I don't
That
think
do
it's because we cannot build houses. Like houses are cheap to build.
no,
It's a speculation that is driving the prices up.
no. Like building a new house is much more expensive now than before, because you need to have much better isolation.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be gas free. It needs to be here. What do you call it? Warm pump, like heat pump,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you need to have solar cells,
Okay, sure. It's a
right?
good point. Sure.
So just a normal house building it is 40K more expensive
Yeah.
just with these.
I do agree that like we
So
shouldn't be. Yeah.
where do we get these?
Yeah.
From outside.
Yeah.
Import them,
Yes.
right? We don't build them.
Also, this tendency of pushing the climate change problem onto the population. Like the real impact is in enforcing policies on the big companies that are creating the pollution. And not necessarily forcing everyone to buy a more expensive house or, uh, yeah, like you can put a solar panel on every house, or you can,
Yeah.
release less CO2 from a old plant.
So
Yeah.
with these policies, we
Yes.
make Netherlands, that is considered the very prosperous country and like a safe place to live for best talent in the world,
Mm-hmm.
into a chaotic place that is not good anymore to live,
Mm-hmm.
not for good for investment, because there are extreme measures, and not investing in technology because we don't have enough houses,
Mm-hmm.
and we are not going to build houses,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that is a kind of a death spiral that we're going to end into, that because we had a problem that is now the economy is down, or like we have issues and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
out of a sudden it will cost, we will make measures that they are short-term result faced,
Mm-hmm.
and essentially mostly uh, things that are not gonna solve the problem root cause of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
if they are bandages,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then it will make us less invest in deep technologies,
Mm-hmm.
which means that we're gonna have more problems.
So what would you propose? Because I know you really care about climate change and such. Like you're not proposing doing less of this, but what alternative would you suggest?
So, for example, um, if we have a problem here in Europe and we see that problem,
Mm-hmm.
we need to figure out what is the root cause of the problem and really address those root cause of the problem. Why Europe we don't have the same uh, we are not growing as fast as possible?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are not exporting or creating the most technologies with highest. I'm making simplified,
Sure,
most
sure,
likely
sure.
economists come and say, but we are not making things as a country
Mm-hmm.
that the world wants as much as we used to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The more we build those, the more net flow of money comes in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also for service that everyone we are improving other rest of the world's quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then for doing that, we need to build a brain port.
Mm-hmm.
Like Netherlands can be essentially used to be or is one of the biggest ports, but it has the potential to become a brain port. And Europe also.
I think we are seeing that trend. Like it is happening
We are
slowly.
seeing the opposite.
You think so?
Look at this. Everyone wants to have a shorter work time.
Yes, yes, yes. But in terms
Everyone
of
wants to not really you don't see trends like I can check.
no, no, but I'm talking about the brain part, especially after Brexit, after the situation in the US has gone quite crazy. Like a lot of people around the world, highly
All of
educated people
these
are coming here.
you like we can check it that, but you remember you did a kind of a more
Yes,
research there, but
yes, a long
how
time ago.
people researchers move around,
Yes, yes.
maybe we can do that again. All of these things that is done,
Mm-hmm.
you are saying, I don't know if that has a moves the needles, but is about how benefiting from the problems somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah, that is true as well. But
Is
sure.
not because we are like we say,
Well,
oh,
I
because
don't know. I mean, you are talking about a
Brexit.
brain port, like people coming here because things are better here, and they are coming here because people things are better here. Like it is kind of
Do you think
working.
that the best scientists and engineers would come here?
I think so because
Let me see.
do you remember the scientists you work with? I remember the engineers I studied with, and all the academics I interacted with. A lot of them, you know, do not want to risk their situation. They do not want to travel. They do not want to be in an uncomfortable place. They just want to focus on what they're good at, on science, on engineering.
How
They don't
can we?
care. So,
My
so those
question is,
people, they might be more attracted to a place like Europe where they can focus more on their work rather than being worried the whole time about, their health insurance, if they're going to lose their job. I don't know. I know I'm making excuses and these are stereotypes, but it is true to some extent, and maybe we can push further in that direction. Maybe this is a key for, recovering things. I don't know.
I think that like there is around like I'm looking at the numbers of people are that are working on deep tech, um, especially in the battery. For example, we are because we have a huge need of battery, which is around 140,000 people
Mm-hmm.
in China alone,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and in US we have
Researchers.
35,000. Yes, researchers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And how can we um, move those
Well,
here?
again, excuse, but like,
How can we do like for example,
isn't the
so since 2020, so 2020,
yeah,
more than 80,000 Chinese
yeah,
published in new battery technologies, which is kind of a new chemistry, and high density battery chemistry.
Mhm.
And in US,
Mhm.
which is the haven of everyone. I remember I was growing, all the wanted go always to study in US that I didn't go,
Mhm.
is 16,000 people. So
Mhm.
90,000 so I'm thinking, how can we make ourselves the center, the magnet, the black hole
Mhm.
of all the talent in the world?
Again,
How can we build those things if we don't have those talents? Like those people
again,
have to move here.
I don't entirely agree with that. I think it is already one of the biggest magnets for talent. This is not the bottleneck. It's just that they don't have a good place to work in. But we are attracting
We are
plenty of
looking at
talent.
here publishing. Huh? They are so these are people that are researching and doing research,
Hmm.
right? Not working. So Germany has 8,400. India has 6,500, Japan has 4,900, United Kingdom 4,700, Australia 2,500, Italy 3,100, and France 2,600.
How is that possible? Like we should be the best at public science. We invest the most public funds. We have the highest
Do
taxes.
we?
I don't think we invest the most. I don't know, but especially public services are what we are good at, and science is a public service.
So I'm going to the World Bank Open Data.
Hmm.
I'm looking at the, let me see, most recent. Percentage of GDP
Hmm.
invested in research and development.
Hmm. Hmm.
Top of the chart, Israel,
Israel.
5.5%
Okay.
of
Okay.
GDP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then Korea,
Hmm.
4.9.
Yeah.
Then United States.
Hmm.
Then Belgium.
Belgium.
Yes. Then
Really?
Sweden.
Hmm.
Then Switzerland. Then Japan. Then Austria. Germany. Finland. United Kingdom. Denmark. Iceland. China.
Well, sure, but like most of Europe is up there, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is that like percentage of GDP of China like 2.4%.
Sure, sure, but like.
And if you look at the charts, France is flat,
Hmm.
China is growing percentage wise,
Yeah.
United Kingdom is growing, Germany is growing, but like for example, China is the fastest growing, and oh man,
In percentage
like the
wise.
South Korea in percentage wise is growing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
means
So
that they are
percentage.
putting
Yeah, more and more of their GDP on around it. Yeah, yeah.
and as a world, this is comes from
How can
2021.
we? How can we? You
So
know.
as a world GDP, we spend. Let me see. Can I compare? Um, as a world, we spend 2.7% of the global GDP
Mm-hmm.
on research and development. How much is the global GDP?
2.7. Yeah.
And this is the world. And 2.7.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see how many countries spending less than 2.7 in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So because as a world means that like China and US would
No, I see what you
like
mean.
the average.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Netherlands 2.3.
Really, you always think of the Netherlands as this advanced Yeah.
France 2.2,
Mm-hmm.
Singapore 2.1,
Singapore.
Slovenia
Again,
2.1,
Singapore. You always think of them as.
Czech Republic or Czechia 2,
Mhm.
Norway 1.9,
Norway.
Australia 1.8, Estonia 1.7, Canada 1.7,
Really, Canada.
Portugal 1.6, Hungary 5.6, UAE, Emirates
Mhm.
1.5, Greece 1.4, New Zealand 1.4, Italy 1.4, Poland 1.4, Spain 1.4,
Mhm.
Turkey 1.4, Thailand 1.3. So essentially, you see,
Yeah.
we are in breaching of, like, and
Yes.
and how do you know that? Like, for example, let's say Israel, or like,
And
the
how
more
is it that all these, yeah, European countries, which are more wealthy, you know, they spend less or as much as are in R&D, as much poorer countries, you know.
percentage wise,
Yeah, yeah, percentage wise, yeah, yeah. But a wealthy country should be able to invest more in the long term. Yeah, more percentage.
or not? Because wealthy country needs more other things to keep people happy.
Yeah, perhaps,
But
perhaps.
this is it. I think I could convince you that we are fucked.
I mean, I was convinced already. I was already starting in a losing battle. I know the situation is hard. Um.
But I think there is hope in it, because we have something that nobody else has it.
Mhm.
Nobody can build a good place to live with long history and culture
Mhm.
as much what we have in Europe.
Maybe we can be
Fast.
the cockroach. Yeah, the whole world falls down around us, and
Yes, but like, again, like, but we can be the haven for the best talent in the world and the best R&D. Like, I want
Mhm.
Europe to be the R&D center of the world.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone wants to make an R&D center, should come here because it's tax benefits,
The thing is,
because it's has the best talent, and it has very good uh, support system around them to keep those talent here.
I think the talent, to some extent, it is coming. We have a lot here already. The education system is close to free and is very high quality. I think it's at this point our responsibility to, make money out of these talented people. Like get people together and actually make businesses that work out of these assets that we have.
Yeah, and work hard for it.
Yes, and we can, yes. The governments can help us what they can, but to some extent, chicken and egg. We need to start from somewhere. So we
Yes,
need to push through. Yeah, use these assets that we have, and more people will come. More help will come, but
yes,
someone needs to be first.
yes.
Yes.
So on the closing note,
We will save the
you
world.
you know we are here on Friday evening after a long work time
Yeah,
here,
it is
because we
quite
are
late.
passionate about deep tech technology. If you need